realized there wasn't too many people on our side.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of us, but we weren't organized. So it was very much a David versus Goliath situation we were running into, not only on a state level but on a federal level.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, we've got 1 million Davids.
Right.
Let's mobilize. Let's unite. Let's engage.
Yeah.
You know what we.
Welcome back to the Bud Brunch. I'm your co-host Losia.
And I'm your co-host Ashley.
It's another great, exciting episode of the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis that we're bringing to you guys for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And today's chapter is
the business of boldness.
Yes, because in this business, you gotta be bold.
You gotta be in any business, really.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely the challenges that are presented in running a cannabis business do require you to kind of step outside of your norm. So, Buzz, I have a question. Has there ever been a time in your career where you kind of had to be bold and like either pivot for what you were doing in a bold way or just like stay the course, even though, you know, the industry was just kind of not leaning in your favor?
Absolutely.
So go ahead and head over to our YouTube and Spotify. That's the Bud Brunch.
On everything.
And go ahead under this episode, go ahead and give us your answer, Buds, because we really would love to know.
What about you? The time when you had to pivot.
Well, I don't want to say pivot, but definitely being bold. Working in the restaurant industry, there was a time where we were fighting for paid sick leave. For tipped workers. And it required me to actually be the face of that for a little bit. And that didn't really sit well with restaurant owners because they don't want to pay us benefits. Like, how dare we
more money
ask for some sort of
basic
protection,
right?
You know, to be able to like take care of our families.
Yeah.
And you know, when I first started doing it, it was called the Restaurant Opportunity Center. ROC for short. It was started after 9/11, actually in New York City, when the towers were attacked because there was a restaurant that was up there that you know, some of the people lost their lives during that. So, but then they woke up and realized, hey, we don't have any protections in the event that something like this or, you know, something even worse happens. So that's when they started that organization. But again, being the face of that in an industry, in a market that is very, very big on food and beverage and their image, it just wasn't a good look. But and I didn't realize it until after I put myself out there. I was like, oh, maybe I probably shouldn't. And I was like, you know what, forget it, because we ended up getting paid sick leave for tip workers. So it was definitely worth a fight. So if you guys are a restaurant worker in the DC market, don't forget you get paid sick leave. So make sure you check your benefits. And if you don't see them, hit up ROC.
Let them know.
Yeah. And I'm excited for our guest today because this person definitely knows a good thing or two about a pivot.
Yeah.
Definitely being bold in the process. I think it reminds me when it comes to home cultivation, because I am your favorite home grower. It reminds me of a word called re-veg.
Re-veg.
So when you're re-vegging a plant, it's you're starting it back from the beginning. So you can actually take a plant and pull it all the way through to harvest. And then as long as you don't cut out like the roots and the main structure of the roots in the plant, you can actually put it back into a vegetative light cycle. And then it will re-veg. During that time of re-vegging though, it does, like the word we said on your episode, it does stay dormant for a while. It's because it's got to regather its strength to come back and to really produce the exact same quality, strong quality genetics that you are trying to, you know, that you're aiming for. And that's why you would re-veg something that does have strong, good quality genetics and great terpene profiles.
So it just needs time.
Definitely needs time, but it comes back. Yeah, so it definitely comes back, and it can tend to come back better. So when I think of Barbara, definitely think about the re-veg, because she has definitely come back time and time again and come back stronger.
Well, I can't wait to dive deeper into the business of boldness with Barbara.
Yes.
Are you ready, buds? Pour up.
Roll up. Let's talk. Welcome to the show, Barbara.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. It's an honor.
Yes.
You guys are OGs in our local industry, and it is such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yes, we've been looking for you, Barbara, because we definitely
Season one,
right?
girl.
Like how you fit very perfectly into that season. But those who are not familiar with you, Barbara, can you just kind of give them a slight background about who you are and how you fit into the cannabis industry?
Absolutely. So I've been in the space since 2017. That is when we started. That is when we first started experimenting at the pop-up scene. I opened up my first brick and mortar store in Manassas, Virginia.
I remember. I used to hit that spot on the way to Spa World.
Yes. And since then, it kind of spiraled into 3 locations, an online store. We now do production of topicals, and so it's been a journey. It's been an adventure for us in the hemp industry, and my journey in the hemp industry also led me to start the nonprofit 501c6, the Cannabis Small Business Association. And so, through my journey as a small business owner, I realized there wasn't too many people on our side.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of us, but we weren't organized. So it was very much a David versus Goliath situation we were running into, not only on a state level but on a federal level. And so I'm like, well, we've got 1 million Davids.
Right.
Let's mobilize. Let's unite. Let's engage.
Yeah.
What we have. And so that led me to start the CSBA, and here we are today. So
Thanks.
Well, speaking of leadership in the space, why is it important to have female leadership, especially in the cannabis space?
Yes, I mean, I think that there's a different element to feminine energy, right? And I like to bring that feminine energy into how I lead my team. I bring a lot of maternal energy to my role. I like to, be a mama bear when it comes to my team, my industry. And so, I think it offers balance too, because there's a lot of masculine energy when you look at leadership. And I've been watching and reading up on leaders like Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, and really truly understanding how they got to where they are. And,
Interesting.
we tend to look at men and think we have to mimic men, but no, there's other ways.
There's power
to
in the women's and energy, for sure.
Yeah, and so I lean into that. And,
love that. We're definitely going to get into more details of your journey into this space, and definitely talk more about that small business association, that your Cannabis Small Business Association that you did start. But we want to kind of get into this product bearer that she can bearing gifts for our What's in Your Glass segment, where we sample products and give you guys our take on how it feels, how it tasted, and all that good stuff. So what do we have here today?
So this is the North Canna High Tonics. It's a 10 milligram beverage. For most, that would be considered a pretty light dose, right? Comparable to maybe a White Claw.
Yeah.
And so what I love about this particular product type, the beverages, is it's very manageable. It's functional. People that don't necessarily like to partake in smoking, or that tend to feel out of control when they take an edible, this is much shorter onset, shorter duration. So you can take this, you'll know what it feels like in 15 minutes, and it's going to wear off in an hour.
Yeah, and it even tells you on the can, it says effects can be felt in 15 to 20 minutes. So this is definitely fast acting.
So instead of being at the bar sipping on your alcohol, you can have that. It hits you quick, you're sober enough to drive home.
Yeah, and the vibes are happy and elevated.
Yes.
And this is hemp-derived THC.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. This is hemp-derived THC. And
for those who are not familiar, what the difference is when somebody says hemp-derived versus just THC?
Just the source. If it comes from cannabis that's grown from a farm that's registered with the USDA in a legal hemp state, and it goes through, their Department of Health, that is a hemp-derived product. Now, if this was made in, in an unlicensed facility, that's marijuana.
Right.
Wow.
That's the biggest distinction.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it don't have nothing to do with the 0.03 and all that stuff, or
It does. So it has to be under 0.3%.
should be considered
Total.
Total, yes. So
Mhm.
0.3% of all the contents in this bottle. The THC has to be under that. So that includes the fizzy water,
Okay.
the flavoring, when you weigh. If the THC is under 0.3%, that is hemp.
Hold on. So if you wanted it to be more THC, you just make a larger volume?
Brownies.
So you could have like a 25 milligram beverage. It would be a lot to drink.
Mm-hmm.
But
No, you can fit 25 milligrams in that. Yes.
Learned something new today.
Yes. So I believe it's essentially, you get 3 milligrams for every 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram
Mm-hmm.
of product. So that's how you measure it. So a 2-gram gummy, you can fit up to 6 milligrams of THC. So, you'll see gummy sizes ranging from like gummy rings where they're able to put more because it has more weight. So that's the basis there.
Well, that's nice. You'll feel a pretty quick onset then. 15 minutes into the episode, y'all.
Right.
No.
If you see a change. But this flavor is our prickly pear lime, and I've added a little bit of pineapple juice in there and
Initial reaction.
blueberry to garnish. And actually, it tastes good. I'm not a big non-flavored salsa person, so the good flavors that pair with this pineapple, it actually tastes really, really great. There's no funny aftertaste, and that's a big thing for me when I am choosing a can of cocktail. I don't want to taste it. I definitely don't want a nasty aftertaste. And for the girlies watching, or the buds watching their weight, this is 0 calories, so definitely good on that. But we'll check back in.
Yeah.
See how it feels. See if that 15 minutes is real.
Drink up.
Right.
Drink up.
All right, Barbara. Let's start at the beginning. 2017. I feel like when we first met you, it was this tiny person who had a big voice in the space. But most importantly, you were in more of a CBD hemp. That was more of your market. Why is it that you, I guess, decided to go that route as opposed to, everybody else was, popping up with the THC at events and things?
It was very personal for me. I came across CBD after the birth of my first son.
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with postpartum, depression. And at the time, nobody really knew about CBD. They didn't even know if it was legal at the time, right? And so we were discovering all these unique benefits that it was doing. I saw what it was doing for my friends with pain. I learned more about it. I started using it. And so the impact that it had on me during that time, I was like, wow, this is profound. Why is this not everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on? And so I was like, okay, let's start market testing this. I was at the pop-ups, on a 6-foot table, and people were telling us, wow, these products are changing our lives. And so I opened up a store in Manassas, and that just blew up. I mean, it just happened so quickly. It grew exponentially. It was all word of mouth because the products worked so well.
Yeah.
And I was proud to be in that lane. I didn't have to hide what I did, right? As a mom, being in the cannabis industry, if you say you sell weed, that's very controversial, especially at that time. So there was this innocence to it, if you will.
Yeah.
It was safer.
Exactly. It wasn't as stigmatized. And so I could be loud and proud about what I did, in Virginia, where things are a little different.
As soon as you step over that line from DC to VA, it's a whole different
ball game.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, it was a niche at that time because everybody was so focused on high THC products.
The higher the better. The higher percentage THC.
Not many people were focusing on CBD, at least in our concentrated market in DC, and so people started referring customers to me, right?
Nice.
And so that's just kind of what kept me in my lane, and the passion. What I was able to do is fulfilling, and so I really enjoyed that. I do enjoy that. So.
You talked about your first store, and now you have 3?
Yep.
3 different stores. It's interesting to me. Well, I love that it's very education forward, and you even give out like samples for people to try. How did that method of selling come about for you?
Well, with CBD, you know, if you tell somebody, hey, try this and it's gonna, you know, change your life, they're not gonna believe you. But when they try it and they're like, oh wow, this actually changed my life, you know, then there's that trust. You don't have to sell it to them. You know, they just have to try it, and it speaks for itself.
Very smart.
And so, you know, yes, it costs a lot of money to give out samples, but it also feels better too, because, you know, people can leave knowing, like, no, they're not just being sold to, right? They're coming to a place where they can trust. People are tight on money right now, and I'm very sensitive to that, you know, and so to be a spot for our community where they can come, experience the plant, learn more about the plant, like, that's what really fulfills me and my staff. So.
Is your sensitivity to hard times because that's something that you've experienced, or?
Yes. You know, I can definitely empathize from personal experience. And so that just drives me further, you know, because I know the pain that they're going through sometimes, especially mentally, you know, for some of our folks that come in seeking relief for that. I can totally feel where that pain is coming from. So yeah, there is an element of that for sure.
I can imagine you get a lot of people, especially in these times, that are coming in for stress and stress relief. What are the products that you offer people as far as stress?
I mean, everything.
Everything. Everything.
But there is a wide range of reasons and methods that people need for stress relief, right? Some people are okay with just CBD. Some people need more. Some people do need some THC, but not too much, right? There's that sweet spot.
Microdose.
Yep. The Goldilocks zone where, you know, there is a certain amount of THC, anywhere from 5 to 20 milligrams, and that's enough for them to be able to replace their alcohol.
Yep.
You know, to unwind after that incredibly stressful day at work. You know, and so we do see a lot of white-collar professionals at our store. You know, we do see doctors, editors, people that work in government, you know, but they don't want to get plastered.
Yeah, they want to be on a list.
Yeah, they don't want to go to
relax and stress. And there was actually an article in the Journal of Cannabis Research that came out in 2021, and it talks specifically about CBD and anti-anxiety and anti-stress. And I go into that on my website, guys, cannabisashley.com. So if you want to learn more about CBD and stress specifically, make sure you check that out. But yeah, I can imagine the floodgates have been opened with the new administration that are coming in for anti-stress reasons. Yes. Lots of people looking for relief. So. But shout out to you for making education a priority in your stores.
Yes. I do remember coming to your DuPont Circle store and like you had like a chalkboard that kind of like cut a little breakdown of like the different stuff that you have and what it works for, and definitely the samples. I was like, oh wow. And it's like you didn't even have to buy anything. They were just like, well, here you go, take this with you. And
it's a beautiful space too.
Definitely.
Is the yoga place still next to them?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We still share the space.
I thought that was perfect. I'm like, come get your little CBD, go in there, do your vinyasa flow. Feel real good by the time you come out.
Exactly. Lots of synergy.
Speaking of the boldness, right? When you came in, you said 2017, right? Yes. Farm Bill 2018 happens. How does that impact your business?
So at that time, I was working with lawyers, right? I didn't want to do anything that would put any of my teammates at risk of going to jail. And so we were very, diligent about making sure what we were doing was in alignment with the laws that were in place. 2014, there was actually a bill that allowed, the research of the economic impact of hemp. And so a lot of people were operating under that umbrella prior to the 2018 Farm Bill. And so that's how we got our in. And from there, after the 2018 Farm Bill passed, it was an explosion, right, of interest. And so the market really opened up, product availability opened up, innovation was wild, right? You saw all kinds of products, and it just kind of beckons the question, with all this competition, if you will, we learned so much from the plant. there is the drug classification, and there's been a lot of fighting with the FDA on whether or not, CBD or hemp products, are FDA compliant. And I have to wonder, right, if things kind of played out like they do with any other pharmaceutical drug, there'd only be one CBD product on the market.
Just one.
And we would not know anything that we know today. And so it's just food for thought.
Yeah.
So it opened up things for you in terms of like products, the type of products that you can offer to your clients and the people that came to your stores. And when did you go from the one to the second store? And in DC, when did that?
That was 2019. So we went through rapid expansion in 2019.
That long, 2019. Wow.
Yep, I opened Leesburg, and then I had a friend reach out to me. They were looking to vacate the DuPont location. I was like, oh, wow, that's a really awesome spot. And I want to expand right now, so perfect timing. And so I was able to enter that lease, and it's been great being there ever since. So, it's been a little crazy this last year, but
yeah, I'm sure, because recently we've, it's been a lot in the headlines in regards to the federal government. What are they doing exactly with hemp, and how is that impacting it?
So,
deep breath.
All right,
deep breath.
There's been a lot of butting of heads in the industry. And across the nation, on a state and federal level, there's been almost like a civil war between hemp and marijuana.
Oh, wow.
And so for the longest time, large marijuana businesses have been lobbying against hemp in states and in the feds. So if you go to any state with like a very strong cannabis structure, you're not going to find a lot of hemp products and vice versa. And so this year, after many attempts that we were able to defeat, there was a Mary Miller amendment. Andy Harris tried to do this too on multiple times. We defeated every effort except for this time. And what was different about this time was the government shutdown. So there's 3 really active members of Congress that talk a lot about hemp. That's Mitch McConnell, Andy Harris, and Rand Paul.
Is that the same Andy Harris that stopped
DC
from being able to sell recreationally?
Andy Harris. And
still around.
All right, I'm like, I do, yeah.
So with the government shutdown, you may have heard that a lot of things got slipped into that bill. It's a must-pass bill. So leadership in government takes these opportunities to slip in language that are near and dear to them. This was near and dear to Mitch McConnell, and he's accrued a lot of favors over time, as a leader in the Republican Party, and he was able to pull strings to keep that language in the bill and get it passed. So whereas we've defeated this every time it's gone through the committee process, the actual
the way that it's supposed to do,
he was able to slip this in, so it bypassed all that.
Everyone was
because nobody would support it.
That's
exactly
they
why.
had to pick between opening up the government and saving hemp. Yeah. Right? And you don't want to pause that, because as soon as they added an amendment, okay, then now it has to go back to the Senate. And so it wasn't fair what happened. And so on a federal level, there is a lot of conflict with what happens with hemp, cannabis, who gets to control those markets, how is it going to be regulated, and the regulations are what going to impact who can enter the market, and what the barriers to entry look like. And so that's what we're seeing kind of play out, because hemp, it's a free-for-all. It is a true free market where anybody can enter. It's truly the American dream, and everywhere you turn, the American dream's dying. And so that's what we're witnessing here in the hemp industry. So.
Wow, it's a powerful statement.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, very, very true. So how is that killing your dreams in terms of what you currently have? Does it impact your business immediately? What is the long-term impact that it's going to have on you and being able to run your stores?
It does create a lot of regulatory uncertainty. We've been battling things in DC, right? A lot of it based on the federal law, so that does complicate things. as far as what happens in Virginia, we have yet to see. And other states, they've been very strong about supporting their current hemp markets, and we're hoping for that same sort of treatment in Virginia.
Yeah.
Where it kind of forced us to be the beer and wine of the industry, right? Because now we're all marijuana. We're all in the same boat, right? Except now we have these fully formed infrastructures and supply chains. We got Total Wine carrying it in Virginia.
Yeah,
which I love.
We've got 1,500 registered hemp stores. We have a regulatory body that comes in and regulates our products and enforces it. And there's people that are employed within that agency. So what happens to all of that? That is what we have yet to see.
So does that kind of like default to the states almost the way that the THC cannabis is now, where it's kind of like state by state, what are your rules?
Okay.
What are you? So then, but before that happened, were you able to do like interstate type of dealings? And that is pretty much limiting. It could limit that.
Absolutely. I won't be able to ship anything that's over 0.4 milligrams. People will have to come to my brick and mortar location to purchase that. And so, banking is going to be really interesting too, because we did have access to banks and Square for credit card processing through their CBD program. That's going to be very complicated moving forward now.
They have the same issues that cannabis dispensaries have.
Yeah, so you guys are now just the same. They're kind of like, well, welcome to the party. You guys are like, we've been here, but okay.
Literally, I got that reception already. and so it does kind of, change things. But I do think this could be the catalyst that brings on full legalization.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that it needed to be challenged in that way, because it's kind of like you are attacking a large group of people that, again, like you said, you guys have already been rocking and rolling since 2017, 2018. Definitely open up those doors. But this is not kind of like the first setback that you've experienced. I know in DC you've had issues. I think, did you sue DC?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So, when they were trying to close the ICM1 market, they cast a wide net, right? And so they encompassed hemp and part of that enforcement. So we did have to fight, we had to sue. There's been a lot of back and forth, and so we're still trying to figure out a path forward now. Pam and Alan are still pursuing their federal case. So they have they sued the United States, in respect to Andy Harris's rider and how it prohibits, any funds being used to regulate the recreational sale of Schedule 1 products. But there's also weird language that says they can't regulate tetrahydrocannabinols. And so it's so vague and erroneous. But, some people in the DC legislation are saying, that means we can't do anything with hemp. So hemp's not mentioned in DC law. How they define cannabis as marijuana and hashish. There is no mention of federally legal hemp under 0.3%. And so that's where it gets really fuzzy. With laws and how they're able to enforce, and that's where a lot of the conflict stems from.
And how did you find out about this? Like, did you just wake up one day and they were like, you can't open your store?
They came in and inspected, right? They gave me a warning letter, and I was like, what the? I don't sell weed. Right?
What was that? Abracadabra? Is that what
Abracadabra. And, they're just following orders, but, they didn't expect to walk into my store and see what they did. They were expecting, your typical smoke shop,
shoddy organization.
Yeah, and so, I think they were impressed with what was happening. But, we are trying to work with the city, we are trying to work with council members, with our agencies to find a path forward for hemp. And so right now I know it's ambiguous. I know there's a lot of resentment too from, operators in the medical space, but I think hemp can actually save the entire cannabis industry in DC, if we give it the opportunity to. And so DC is losing tax revenue left and right.
Yep.
People aren't coming out.
You're not getting the money, leaving it on the table.
in Virginia,
Maryland's right there.
we can sell THC beverages in bars and restaurants. That's a whole nother tax revenue for the city. Not limited to just 50 dispensaries. This could be in thousands of establishments.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just something that I think the city should consider. You know, I think it's something that can also help dispensaries because there is 280E taxes, right? And even if it doesn't apply to THC anymore with the federal changes to CBD, you know, that is substantial.
Yeah.
So what's going on in the Virginia market right now as far as recreational sales?
So it's on the horizon. It's coming. They are going to pass it in 2026. It's
Okay, VA.
You know, there is structure, there is kind of language that they're kind of set on. We're looking at a market with around 350 to 400 retail locations for the whole state. There's going to be, I believe, like 100 to 150 growers, 100 to 150 processors.
Wow.
That's manufacturers. That includes you know, people that make extractions as well as edibles or vapes. So
they already have these numbers outlined.
They
like
do.
How many? Nice.
They do have different tiers for growing, so there's going to be different tiers for small grows, for larger grows. There's been a lot of fighting though about when the start date is, you know, and so we'll see when that happens. We'll see when businesses are ready. We'll see if they'll set it for a time where businesses are actually ready. That is yet to be determined.
So this new legislation coming up on the horizon, is that what inspired you to start the Small Cannabis Business Association?
All the BS going on in DC is what inspired me.
Has nothing to do with the DC.
But, you know, I didn't want the same thing happening to me in Virginia.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, all right, I learned
You've learned a lesson.
I need
exactly.
friends, right? and so, you know, that's what kind of beckoned this. I got together with some other business owners that have been in the space for a while that were just as equally passionate.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, we started the association. So.
And what for people that have a business, cannabis business or cannabis-based business, and or are thinking about starting one, why should they join your association? Why is it important to be a part of it?
Yes, so that you can stay up to date with the changes and the updates, because there's a lot going on. I think a lot of people assume that, oh, I can just sign up and get a license and it's going to be easy peasy.
Is that the dance they're doing?
You know, and start up tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to be banging out my doors and buying all of my weed. Yeah.
You know, I looked at the bill, it's over 80 pages,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not even the regs that they're going to implement and impose. And so, you know, I think it's so important for business owners to stay tuned and stay up to date on what these regs look like and start getting ready now.
Yeah.
There is not an infinite amount of licenses. It's going to be a bloodbath to get those licenses.
So people who don't have businesses yet, would you encourage them to also join the association if they're just interested in the industry?
Absolutely.
And how can they do that? How can they find you?
Yeah, go to our website. It is csbassociation.com.
Okay.
You can volunteer your time. You can join for $100 a year, and fight the good fight with us. You know, we want a cannabis industry where legacy operators and people that actually know what they're doing, you know, are in this market, not chads that drink liquor, you know, and never
Chad.
Chad, what a quarter zip do?
He's trying to crush me right now.
That's hilarious. But you're not new. You are not new, but you seem to navigate this space for a while. Are you new to like illicit markets, or like what background or industry do you come from, that, or what part of your background and previous work that you have done, how does that help you feel to navigate the space?
Yeah, I mean, you know, cannabis has been a part of my life for a very long time. High school, right? And entrepreneurship just kind of runs in my family.
Okay.
So my mom had her own braiding business.
Really?
My grandfather operated in the gray areas, that I've been told.
Okay.
And so, you know, I want to say that part of it is genetic and just how I was raised.
In your blood,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
I played a lot of Monopoly and Risk, and I was able to debate and negotiate with my parents, and I think a lot of things like that really kind of played a role in the skill sets that I have been able to develop, that I use today. Now, unfortunately, when I was in high school, my family did go through some troubling times. They were in the housing market. We lost everything. And so I had to immediately start working. I had to drop out of school, get my GED, and start work.
And how old were you at this point?
I was 17.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, I kind of started young. I understood that, I learned work ethic at a very young age. And I understood the importance of money and budgeting at a young age. I was forced to.
Yeah.
But I also learned a lot of skills, not having a lot of resources available. You get crafty.
Yeah.
Right? You learn to work with not a lot of things.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I do think that hardship is what really gave me the ability and the determination and the resilience necessary to be an entrepreneur.
But you were your early 20s, right? Coming into the space.
Yeah.
Because I remember it's like, she's a baby. But she was just up there just being a boss and showing people how things get done, definitely leading by example, by, showing people like, hey, like, it's very possible to treat this plant in a respectable manner. It's very possible to educate people while still, being able to consume and have a good time. It doesn't always have to just come off as really like commercially and just different vibes. Like you elevated the experience a lot for somebody that was that young, like coming into the game. I mean, you're still young.
How old were you?
Twisted. You're like 23?
Yeah, I was like 23, 24.
23 when you opened your first brick and mortar?
Yeah.
Girl.
In an illicit market such as cannabis, like that.
In Virginia.
Right, oh, right.
Is that where you're from?
Yes. So
Okay.
I was born in Africa. Came to the States when I was like 2 or 3.
Okay.
We landed in New York. My mom was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So we ended up in the suburbs of Virginia.
Okay. What part of Africa?
So I was born in Kenya, but I'm from Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah.
You learned something new.
I never knew that.
Wow. So how did that, so your parents not being American, being from America, and you I definitely understand that coming here also at a young age from Africa, your parents trying to adapt and, get with the program, and you are kind of like stuck in the middle too, and like their traditional ways, but also having to learn the American culture so that you can just survive and adapt. I mean, and fit in, within the other kids. How has that, do you put any of your culture in your stores or anything that you do? Does that have any influence of how you do things?
Yes, it gave me a different perspective on culture and building culture within my company, because you're right. It was a learning curve. American culture, it was a learning curve for me. Understanding etiquette, understanding the value system here. Like, my mom grew up in the village, and so she didn't have a lot of education. She, could barely read. She could barely write. And my dad didn't grow up in the States either. He traveled. So there wasn't a lot of that generational knowledge passed down to me of like, this is, what you do.
Yeah, that's how you do things. Yeah, that's how you become successful here.
Yes. Yeah. And so I've been very empathetic to that as I build my culture, and empathetic to the learning curve associated with that. Common sense is not necessarily common sense.
Girl, say it again.
Right? But I don't think that should discredit somebody from entering your organization, assimilating, right, and understanding how things work and why we do things the way we do. And if you give somebody the time to learn, you'd be surprised what they bring to the table.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I'm sure that really helps you in your leadership at the stores, and it helps you to relate to the different people that work for you.
Personalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Leadership has been It's been great. It's been a challenge at times. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. But I learned from those mistakes, or at least I tried to.
And is that what kept District Hemp going? Because a lot of people fell out.
Yeah.
They're no longer here.
Because you were there like before the hemp boom.
Mm-hmm.
You're there after the hemp boom, and now you're here during this troubled waters. But
What are you
you're still here.
that?
That's the point.
Passion.
Passion.
You know, my team is passionate. You know, they're not in it to make a quick buck. They're not in it for sales goals. They're in it because of what we do on a day-to-day basis, and that's helping others.
Yeah.
So they're passionate about fighting for their ability to help these people, right? And so that's what keeps them going.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us thick. And like a lot of them have been with me since COVID.
Right.
You know, man, operating through the stress of COVID.
I was about to say, like, you opened the store in 2019 in DC, and then COVID hits 2020. Like,
Was it straight online, or what were you doing during COVID, or just mask up?
It was mask up.
Mask up.
Right?
Gotcha.
And this is where like PPE wasn't available.
Yeah.
We thought we were gonna die. Like, you know the stress. But like that made us so tight.
Yeah.
Right? And it just created this bond. And so I'm so grateful for my team and everything we've been through.
I know cannabis saw a boom during COVID too, because there's no drug tests. You know, government people are off of work.
right,
like,
they don't have to go to office.
got
Yeah.
some time, so I can imagine that you saw a little boost in sales during that time.
We did.
For sure.
And in Virginia, you know, we were considered essential just because of our business size.
Mm-hmm.
So we were open through that whole lockdown in there.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So that, you know, again, another period of growth and learning. And another, you know, strong display of perseverance and determination.
So yeah, you had to be bold and make a lot of like decisions as a business owner to really kind of help your business stay afloat. You've also have been a leader and a voice for this industry to kind of help not just only your business, but other businesses stay afloat. Is there a time in like your personal life where you had to be bold and it just, you know, you were facing kind of like obviously everything that you have going on with your business, and then here comes something from, you know, your personal side, and you're just kind of have to sit this one out a little bit and focus on home, and how has that helped you become a better business person?
Yeah, you know, I'd have to say mental health, right? And I think that's a big issue in every community, regardless of race or creed or, you know, social class. And so, you know, I've had to deal with family members with severe mental illness, and having to navigate that and still hold empathy when things, you know, get a little harder to manage. Yeah, that has been a journey. It's something I'm still working on. It's something I still have to like pause and take a break and step back.
You do. The burnout is real. I've been working in behavioral health for over a decade, and I work with clients with severe and persistent mental illnesses, and sometimes you have to tell the family to take a break. They're taking on, you know, everything from the client, but kudos to you for supporting your family through that. Yeah. And,
you know, I have my own things that I work through too, right? And so just being able to be self-aware, give myself grace, and, you know, seek help when necessary. It's also so important too. So, you know, a lot of business owners, we don't like to talk about it, but mental illness is very pervasive amongst our community. So if you ever see,
I was reading something that saying that the things that you don't take care of in your personal life show up in your business. Like not being able to delegate, like having trust issues, and, you know, not being able to communicate effectively, things of that nature. So
absolutely, but you'll notice with like business owners, we have to, you know, deal with a lot of areas of business. ADHD is actually, you know, not so hindering.
I like how you said that. Some of the symptoms aren't all that bad, especially when it comes to productivity.
Yeah, so if you can control it, you know, be aware of it,
manage
good
it.
and the bad, you'd be surprised how it can be helpful, you know, in certain professions. So.
For sure. So, Barbara, we're coming to the hardest part of the show.
Is it hard?
Yes.
I don't think it's hard. It's my favorite part.
Okay, what are we doing, Ashley?
So this is Puff or Pass, where we give our guests, today it's Barbara, the option between two different things, and you have to tell us which one you're puffing on and which one you're going to pass to the left, okay? All right, so we'll start out easy. Music while high or movies while high?
Music.
Music while high?
Yeah.
You're puffing on music? Okay.
I'm puffing on music, dancing.
Okay.
Oh, she added the movement
Right.
to it. She's not just listening, she's moving.
I want to feel it.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to feel the emotion.
What are you listening to these days?
Oh, I'm eclectic.
Okay.
Everything.
A little bit of everything?
Yeah, I will listen to Taylor Swift, but then follow up with some Gucci Mane.
Okay. We are here. I feel you.
And then finish off with some Linkin Park. So I'm all over the place.
I gotta send you the link to my playlist because we are here. All right. Puff or pass, group sesh or solo sesh?
Ooh, it depends.
Nope, pick one.
Ah.
This is puff or pass, not puff and pass. Puff or pass.
I'll do both. I solo sesh.
Solo sesh.
Yeah, I like to spend some time being mindful and practicing mindfulness over a nice J.
I like that.
That is people don't understand being alone. I can imagine, with my CBD, even being alone and kind of getting into that meditative space, how beneficial that is. Mm-hmm. All right, puff or pass, flower or edibles?
Flower.
Flower, all day. You're a flower girl.
It's a little bit more manageable for me. I got a lot of things to do.
Yeah. She's busy being bold in business.
Right.
I understand. All right, and finally, puff or pass, elevating women in business or elevating women in wellness? It's not supposed to be easy.
I'd say wellness, because business success might not be a part of that wellness for them.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
The honest truth.
Well, that was puff or pass. You guys were there. No wrong answers, just real ones. And Barbara, you passed the vibe test today. Yes. And so we come to What's in Your Glass part 2, where we check in with Losia. How are you feeling about that North Carolina High Tonics Prickly Pear Line 10 milligram hemp derived THC drink?
Well, definitely it hit the mark with the happy and elevated vibes, because I'm definitely getting that. I was kind of a little bit nervous coming into this because Barbara's a big deal.
Yeah.
But as the interview went on, I've definitely but this is cool. This is definitely one you want to pregame with. If you definitely want to pregame, but you maybe not be drinking that night. Mm-hmm. Definitely get you some of this, and it'll get you going, and it'll definitely if you turn on some music right now.
You would be getting mad.
I'd be getting down. You'd be like,
little
what
Taylor
is going
Swift
on over there? I'm like, I don't know, I don't like it.
Okay.
So I definitely and again, the taste.
Clearly
out of this world, 0 calories, so I can drink another one and not feel guilty.
Yes.
So definitely.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, cheers, darling. How many cheers are we giving? I'm not going to say all that again.
Definitely 5 cheers for this can of cocktail.
Nice. We love us a good can of cocktail. Well, Barbara, we have to cheers because Cheers.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Got a little too excited there. Oh, that was tasty.
It was.
And a little splash of pineapple.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about your journey into this crazy space. We definitely wish you the best of luck with all the new stuff that's popping up for hemp. But let the people know where they can find you, where they can get to the stores, where they can order some products from you.
Yes. So I've got 3 locations, 2 in Virginia, Manassas and Leesburg, 1 in DC. We also have an online store, districthemp.com. Check us out. If you are new to cannabis, don't really know where to start, we do free consultations. Come in the store, we'll make sure that we get you in a comfortable spot. And if the products don't work for you, you can bring them back for a refund. And
Did y'all hear that?
Satisfaction guarantee.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, and if you want to fight for small business, hit us up at the CSB Association. We are very passionate, and our mission is surrounding making sure that small businesses have a space in this industry. So.
Is there an immediate call to action for those people, either in Virginia or just nationwide, that can, if there's anything they can do right now to kind of help with the looming legislation that's about to affect the hemp industry?
Absolutely. If you follow CSB Association, we send out email reminders with relevant call to actions. But right this second, if you can call your congressman, there is a directory phone number, or you can just Google it, where's my congressman, and you give them a call, let them know to act now, repeal the hemp ban. That is going to be very important for our cause, and if hemp is important to you, let them know how hemp has had a positive impact on your life. But it can make a difference.
Yeah.
And hemp is important to us because Barbara runs a business. And
Yes.
she got to pay the bills.
Woman-owned business.
So shout out to you again, Barbara, for joining us. Thank you so much. And that concludes the chapter of
The Business of Boldness.
Yes, the Bud Brunch and the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's all for this sesh, buds. And remember, this is the Bud Brunch, where we do it for the culture,
For the community,
for the conversation.
Until next time.
Bye.
What's up? I'm Opal. What's up? I'm Lex. With UK. We're talking cannabis and sisterhood on the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis